All right, today we're going to look at rational equations. So I want you to look at these four equations and tell me which one does not belong and why does it not belong. So we've got 6x over x minus 1 is equal to 4 plus x. 6x over x minus 1 is equal to 20 plus x over x minus 1. 6x over x minus 1 plus 8 plus 4 is equal to 8. And then we've got negative 6x is equal to x minus 1 times x minus 2. So the one that doesn't belong, hopefully you said, was this last one right here. So these two things are multiplied by each other. So this is in the form of a quadratic, right? So remember quadratics, we want to get equal to 0 and then factor them. So we would have to multiply these out and get them factored back. Okay, these other ones are rational equations, and we're going to talk about rationals today. All right, let's look at this one. So I want to solve this equation. Okay, so I've got x over 3 plus x over 8 is equal to 11. So I hope the first thing that you're thinking is find the common denominator. Okay, since it's an equation, we are going to multiply everything by it. Okay, so the common denominator here is going to be 24. So I am going to multiply everything by 24. Okay, so I'm going to say 24 times x over 3, 24 times x over 8, and 24 times an 11. Okay, so when you multiply 24 times x over 3, that's going to be an 8x. When you multiply 24 times x over 8, that's going to be a 3x. And then when you multiply 24 times an 11, you'll get a 264. So here you'll have 8 plus 3, which is what, an 11x, is equal to 264. And then you'll divide both sides by an 11. So x here is going to be a 24. Alright, you want to check your solution just to make sure that it is lets you solve. So then we'll solve. And then we'll check our solution. You also want to make sure that it does not make the denominator 0. Okay, so here we don't have a variable in the denominator, so it's okay. So 24 over 3 plus 24 over an 8 is equal to an 11. So 24 over 3 is an 8. 24 over 8 is a 30, and that does equal 11 on both sides here. Okay. Alright, so let's do this one here. So I want to find the common denominator. So this is 4 over 1. So the common denominator here is going to be 1 plus x. So that means that each one of these I am going to multiply by 1 plus x. Like that. So right here, these are going to go away, so I'm going to be left with 1 minus x. And then here I can distribute, so 4 plus a 4x. Okay, now I'm going to solve, so I'm going to move the 4 over, so it's going to be a negative 5x. I'm going to move the 1 over, so it's going to be a 3. Divide both sides by negative 5, so this is going to be a negative 3/5. Okay, check your solution here. So we'll have 1 minus a negative 3/5 over 1 plus minus 3/5. Is that going to be a 4? So what I'm going to do is multiply this by 5. So this will be a 5 plus a 3 over 5 minus a 3. So it's an 8, right? 8 over a 2, which is a 4. Okay, negative 3/5 is not going to make that denominator 0, so that is my solution. so about this one. So multiply by the common denominator. So each one of these is over a 1, so the common denominator is an x. So you're going to say 5x times x plus x times x is equal to x times a negative 6. So this will be a 5. X times x is an x squared. This will be a negative 6x. Alright, so we got an x squared plus a 6x plus a 5 is equal to 0. So this is a quadratic formula, or quadratic equation, right? Well, let's call it a quadratic equation. So I'm going to have to factor it or use my quadratic formula. So what multiplies together to give you 5 and adds together to give you 6. So that's x plus 1 times x plus 5. So we'll set both of those equal to 0. So x is going to be equal to a negative 1 and x is going to be equal to a negative 5. So then we always want to check our solutions, right? So 5 over negative 1 plus negative 1, does that equal a negative 6? So that's a negative 5 plus a negative 1, and that does give me a negative 6. Okay, and what about negative 5? So we'll have 5 over a negative 5 plus a negative 5. Does that equal a negative 6? So it's negative 1 plus a negative 5, and that is a negative 6. So both of them check out. So that is true. We like to do this because, especially when we solve radical equations, which we're going to do in just a minute. So find the common denominator. Before I find the common denominator, remember you factor. So remember the common denominator has everything that they have in common times everything they don't. So they don't have a 2, and they all don't have that x minus a 1. So my common denominator is going to be 2 times that x minus 1. So I'm going to multiply everything by 2 times x minus 1. So each one gets multiplied by that. Okay, so this will be 4 times x minus 1. This x minus 1 is going to go away, so 2 times 3, which is a 6. So we'll be left with the 5 there, right? So simplify, so 4x minus a 4 plus a 6 is equal to 5. So that's 4x plus a 2. So this will be 4x is equal to a 3. So x is going to be equal to a 3/4. 3/4 doesn't make the denominator 0. Okay. Alright, let's do one more. So factor. So common denominator here is going to be both of those. X minus 2 times x plus a 2. So multiply everything by that. X minus 2 times x plus a 2. So we'll have 3 over x minus 2. And you don't have to do this stuff, it just kind of makes a little bit more sense when you get, once you start working through them, you'll see the pattern. So we'll have a 3 times x plus a 2. 3, that's a plus, I'm sorry, not an equals. Plus 3 times x minus a 2 is equal to 5. So we'll have 3x plus a 6 plus 3x minus a 6. So that'll be a 6x is equal to 5. So x is going to be equal to 5/6. Alright. Good deal. That doesn't make the denominator 0 anywhere, so that's our solution. Alright, so that's rational equations.